I'll just invite you to take a deep breath in and settle in quietly and listen to the following words from Ernest Holmes. My word is a word of power, for I know it is the word of the great God within me. My word shall accomplish and prosper, and shall do good unto all who call upon my name. My word is a tower of strength and cannot be denied. It is complete and perfect here and now. My word is the word of God. So I'll just invite you to think on the idea of having that word within you and knowing that that word is the word of God. I'm just so grateful for this day. It is a glorious day. It is a good day. I know that I am in the midst of all good. I know that I am in the circle of infinity, filled with love, light, peace, joy, harmony, abundance, and all things good. I know that this immense energy that is present here moves through me as me. I am one with it. I know that this energy, this love that flows through me is here now. And I claim and I know for each and every one of us that we are filled with this love, this energy of peace, harmony, and joy. And so as I speak my word today, I know that my word is a word of truth and it's filled with life and love. And so I claim and know for each and every one of us that we're blessed this day. And every day, I know that the words of Reverend Shari is filled with this divine truth, and we're blessed by it. And I know that the music of TJ Moss is also filled with this divine truth, bringing us love, joy, and peace, and we're lifted up. I know and accept today that everything we do is in divine right order, that this gathering is blessed, and we're guided and directed into high expressions of who we are each and every day throughout this year. I claim this to be true. I know this to be true. I declare this to be true, and so it is.
I don't think he needs any way of welcoming him but to say, this is TJ Moss. Let's welcome him.
Good morning, everybody. I always try to say a little something here before I start singing. And you know, here we are, we're in a new year, and so I always think about new possibilities and new journeys ahead. And I think about our ancestors. You know, they got in these ships, and they traveled great distances without really knowing what was going to come of it, but they did it anyway, and that's why a lot of us ended up here, you know. Probably all of us. So I thank those ancestors for taking that great leap of faith. And so this song is called The Captain, and it's kind of about that journey that you take, and you might get tossed and turned by the sea, but deep inside there's a voice that'll always get you to where you need to go. There is a boat lost at sea. The sail is torn, the mast is weak. The waves have come over the sides. The captain abides. There is a boat lost at sea. The storm has left domestic queen. The story goes she almost capsized. The captain abides, but But you gotta get lost to find yourself again. You gotta be still if you wanna hear the wind blowing. You gotta realize that the power inside you can unite the world. So invite the world back in, just let go. The captain will get you home. There was a time he used to sing when skies were clear and hearts were clean. It seems he's forgotten the lines, but the song still resides. He lost his way, he lost the time. He saw the world through tired eyes. He did what he could to survive. He learned what he could from the tide. The captain abides. But you gotta get lost to find yourself again. You gotta be still if you wanna hear the wind blowing. You gotta realize that the power inside you can unite the world. So invite the world back in, just let go. The captain will get you home. So when you're lost at sea, when that horizon is a little out of reach, it's just another story to tell. It's just another beach. But you gotta get lost to find yourself again. You gotta be still if you wanna hear the wind blowing. You gotta realize that the power inside you can unite the world. So invite the world back in, just let go. The captain will get you home. The captain will get you home.
Thank you, TJ. He's like a troubadour, right? He reminds me of, you could go to a place and have a 7-Up and listen to the piano man. And TJ, you're like a troubadour. The captain will guide you home. I love it. So welcome, everyone. I wanted to welcome everyone on Zoom. I call them Zoomies. And I like to bring them into our space. So if we can just close our eyes a minute and just breathe everyone into our space. Not just on Zoom, but every place in the world. Bring them in. Welcome them. Welcome them home. Just take a breath. Breathe with me. And just recognize this power of this breath, the giving and the receiving. We are that one. So, thank you. I will turn my attention there, I hope. Sometimes I forget. So, our theme for this year is Living Out Loud, and I'll talk a little bit about that later. Our January theme is Root and Reboot, and the weekly talk is the universal voice. And so the voice comes in many different flavors. It doesn't necessarily come from the voice box. It could come from an energetic. And so, but one thing that's important about the voice is it's all the same. It's all one. And we use that in this world that we live in. And so the reason why we call it root and reboot is because in January we always come back to our roots in Science of Mind. And when Ernst Holmes started, he started as a philosophical institute. And sometimes we forget that. So we use the first 4 weeks to talk about first cause, which is January, first cause. So I want to point out that picture because that's from AI. That's an artificial intelligence picture. I'm just learning this new gig, and it's just kind of like this living out loud thing. So I thought I'd throw it up there for my picture. So what is this universal voice that we're talking about? It really is connecting to that one life that we are and that we live. And recognizing, and I'm going to use this mantra today, God is, I am, we are. And I'd like you just to kind of start to breathe that in as you're the captain bringing you home. Ernest Holmes states in Science of Mind, let us learn to be still. Let the truth speak through us. To be still and know the inner light shines. So just as this experiential today, I want us to just kind of close our eyes. Breathe in. As God is, I am, we are. As God is, I am. See if you could feel the force of this statement. And you can say it in a whisper, you can just say it in your mind, but I want you to encompass it in your body. Feel it as it pulls you into this higher energy, moves you into a state of receptivity. So you become more and more aware. As God is, I am. This is the good that's emanating from the depth of your being. So you're going directly to the source of all creation. First cause, that's what we talk about. We become aware that our life is a distinct emanation of the only life there is. So being more aware, God is. I am. Your awareness carries this, every single quality and the full essence of the Spirit that is already you. So embody this. I always like to say, feel it in your bones. Feel it in your marrow. You are the Spirit of that living God. So how do we practice this when we go out in the world? It's a daily practice of what we're calling living out loud, and what I call being authentic. So living out loud, it's really funny. It's a trendy definition right now. I just got an email from Maria Shriver for her Sunday emails that she sends, and the subject was live out loud. So it is a pop culture thing right now. So the meaning in the pop culture means living with flair and sass. Do we do that? Not always, right? So I looked for a deeper meaning. It means living genuinely. It means practice being yourself, regardless of others' opinions. It means living on purpose. So I always love to listen to ministers when I'm not talking on a Sunday. I listen to Reverend Jerry. I have a notebook, and it's a ministerial notebook, and it says Reverend Jerry and the date. It says Reverend Suzette and the date, Reverend Debbie and the date. Any minister I listen to, I have a little memo. And last Sunday, I listened to Reverend Suzette, and I'm going to quote her because what she said was so deep that I had to sit with it. I had to take a breath. So she said, we have to take our place and to be responsible for that place. We have to remember who we are in the world and to take our right place. We have to take our place in becoming responsible for that place. And our job is to find that place. We have to take the place and be responsible for for everything that's going on in our life. And we stand in that place and that power. So it took me a while to sit with that, especially when she said, we have to take our place in becoming responsible for that place. That responsibility, that ability to respond. So we do that by recognizing that one love that actively moves through the law. It actively moves through. So we have to anchor ourselves deeply in our faith. We have to believe in this. We have to stand in it. We have to anchor ourselves in it. Not just on Sunday or Wednesday or during class, but when you're on the road here in San Diego, or when you're in the grocery store, or any place else. This is where our foundation is, and we walk in that all the time. So Jesus in Matthew 7, verse 24 to 27, he said this, "Everyone who hears these words and puts them into practice is like a wise man who built his house on the rock. The rains came down, streams rose, winds blew, but the houses did not fall because its foundation was on a rock. It was anchored." And then he said, "Everyone who hears these words of mine and does not put them into practice is like the foolish man who built his house on the sand. The rains came down, the streams rose, and the winds blew and beat against the house, and it fell with a great crash." He was talking about visioning. He was talking about that which we do. He said, not just hear the words, but put them into practice. We have to practice them. And so the thing about visioning is, visioning without action is magical thinking. We're just thinking about it. We're daydreaming. We're kind of hoping and wishing. I think there was a song that was called that, wishing and hoping and singing and praying. Action without vision turns into chaos. So we have to be anchored in our practice of these visionings, of this visionings. We have to put them in practice. Sometimes we can become seduced, provoked, or intimidated by these external circumstances that are out there. Here's the thing. Our interactions in the world reflect whether we are putting our words into practice. We get triggered. We get our buttons pushed. And that's part of the human condition. But because of our practices, we can go in and we can see what that is for us. Usually our reactions are based on preferences or desires, which is future thinking, or our fears, which are from the past. And it also tells us we're not in the moment. So there are all these impressions of these past experiences, and they live here in the body. We have to do body, mind, and spirit. That's our Trinity, body, mind, and spirit. So the thing about it is there's some things we don't like, so we kind of push them away. And there's some things that we do like, and we try to hold on to them. The Buddhists call it clinging because we don't want to let them go. You know, did you ever see that picture of the cat with all the claws? It's like everything we're holding on to, we have all these claws that we're holding on to them with. So our job, if you want to call it that, or our joy, is to not push them away, but also not hold on to them. And this is where Reverend Suzette said the responsibility is to become present. So we have to let go of all these situational reactions that we have. Because, like I said, in reality, we really aren't in the present when we're doing that. We're really not anchored on our rock. In that moment, we have the opportunity to be curious. And that's my favorite thing, is to be curious. Just like little children, they're curious, they're looking, they want to know. What's one of their first sayings? Why? 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 You know, why? Why is the world like this? Why? Mary O'Malley calls this dipping the finger of your attention into the river of your experience. Think of that. Dipping the finger of your attention into the river of your experience. Anyone ever go to the doctor and the doctor said, follow this? And your attention is on the finger, right? That's what she's saying. Put your attention on the one place in your anchor. Root and reboot. So in New Thought, what we say is there's nothing to heal, only to reveal, right? It's one of the sayings, right? I say to reveal it, you have to feel it. You have to feel it. You have to get down into your whole being. Mind, body, spirit. The secret is the more you watch what's going on, the finger of attention, you don't move back and forth because your attention is in the river of your experience. Think about that, the river. You have such an outflowing experience and expression of yourself. And if you keep your attention on that finger, just that one pinprick of consciousness will bring you back to center. And so you don't have to do anything. The more you don't search for your good, the more it's like a moth to a flame. It comes to you. You receive it. You rest in the knowledge that God is, I am, we are. Your good begins to come to you. The vision of your true self pulls you into your good. In the visioning, we say, pain pushes until the vision pulls. The vision pulls you. And that's what Jesus was talking about. Stay steady on the rock. So you also don't have to find your beliefs or your blocks. You don't have to find what's blocking you. They come through other angels that may be pushing your buttons. So we don't call them angels sometimes. But if we start to look at them as angels, okay, there's something here. We have to find what this is. There was a husband and a wife who was in this movement who was having a big argument. They were arguing about something. I don't remember what it was. And it wasn't me and it wasn't Nelson, just in case you wanted to know. But they were arguing, and she said to him, "You're pushing all my buttons. You're just pushing all my buttons." And he said, "I may be pushing your buttons, but I didn't install them." I did not install them. So when we go out to the grocery store or on the freeway or wherever and our buttons are pushed, it's not the person in front of us that we want to say something to. It's not anybody else. They just pushed it. We get to see what the installation mode was. That's our responsibility. That's our ability, once again, to respond. So everything in life has something to unveil to us. And it comes from an expansive calling that there is in the beginning. This universal voice that we're talking about. Mary O'Malley, in her book, What's in the Way is the Way, says this. When you learn how to be curious with what's going on inside of you, you discover the ability to experience what you're experiencing without turning it into a problem. It's the finger. It's the curiosity. Life is not just a random series of events that happen because you did it right or you did it wrong. Instead, it is an intelligent unfolding that is revealing itself to you all day long, bringing you step by step from unconsciousness to consciousness. So you move from accepting by saying, all is welcome here, all is welcome here, to all is well, come here. All is well, come here. So you live from this all is well, come here. It doesn't change from changing the effects. We're not looking at the outside world. We're looking at all is well, come here. So it means you have the faith and the power for good, so much so you can live in the practice of being yourself and finding your place. Hebrews 11:1 says, faith is the substance of the things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Ernest Holmes defines faith as the belief in the presence of an invisible principle and law, which directly and specifically responds to us. So with faith comes belief in the evidence of things not seen. Another way of saying this, I'm practicing here, is when you believe more in what you don't see, which is faith, what you do see, which are the effects, you won't see what you do see, and you will see what you don't see. So think about that. That's one of my favorite sayings. When you believe more in what you don't see than what you do see, you won't see what you do see, and you will see what you don't see. Practice that. That's a tongue twister, right? But it's a good one. It's a really good one. I love that one. So this is where our meditations and our treatment work and all our practices help. It helps us to be in the world, but not of us. And we begin to live out loud with this faith and trust. That's the foundation of the rock. That is taking our place and becoming responsible for that place. So we begin to understand that we're individualized expressions of the whole. We are individualized expressions. We're not individual people. We're individualized expressions. That is our mantra. God is, I am, we are. We're focal points where the universe is becoming conscious of itself. Think about that. We are the focal points of the universe becoming conscious of itself. So I have a question for you at the beginning of this year. Can you remember who you were before the world told you who you should be? Can you remember who you were before the world told you who you should be? This is when we have to get rid of our BS. I know what you guys are thinking. I'm talking about belief systems. We have to get rid of our belief systems. We have to get rid of them. We have to find out how they were installed. Because that's where we move back into first cause, is getting rid of our belief systems. Caught you on that one. But think about it. Can you remember who you were before the world told you who you should be? We're birthed into this idea of trance. And our first idea of trance is someone comes up and says, "Hi, nice to meet you. What's your name?" "My name is Shari." That's my first trance. My name. Someone else named me, not me. That's why a lot of people change their names, because they embody whatever that name is for them. But that's our first trance, is our name. We're birthed into this human incarnation. The first trance is our race consciousness. We have to be named. And isn't it funny if we don't understand a person's name? But there's an energetic behind the name that you can really begin to feel and see. And it's not necessarily the name that they're speaking. It's a different one. Our second trance is place consciousness. There's a place consciousness that we live in. Like we go to the grocery store, there's a place consciousness. San Diego is place consciousness. Minnesota is a place consciousness. They're everywhere. That's our first birth. Our second birth is when we wake up to our true nature, to what we're here for. Here is where we begin to experience and feel that universal presence that we talk about. Not as individuals, but as individualized expressions of the whole. I know one minister that would get up in the morning and say, "Oh, I'm going to see how God expresses itself as whoever the name is. I'm looking forward to seeing how God expresses itself as someone else." So they centered themselves into recognizing that first cause, that emanation of who we are. God is, I am, we are. So we're not individuals, we are the individualized expressions, and we all have our place and purpose. Some of it is music, some of it is writing, some of it is just living and singing a song itself. So that's who you were before the world told you who you should be. You are the divine emanation of God. Now, what if we all walked in life, on the streets and everywhere else, as knowing that we are the Spirit of the living God? Do you think you would hold yourself different? Because you're connected to your mind, yes, but you're also connected to your heart. The body of this place. We are human incarnations. We say we're a spiritual being having a human experience. I say we're spiritual beings in a human incarnation. We incarnated just for this purpose of living and breathing and experiencing this. Everything we see is a creative expression of God. And I love to change the word God because some people don't like that word. They call it spirit. They call it different things. I call it grace. I forget now. I call it grace. That's what I do. Grace over drama. That's what I call it. Grace over drama. So when I talk about God, sometimes it's, I call it the Velcro effect. Sometimes I'm like this. You know, I got Velcro in my head. It's like, okay, grace over drama, grace over drama. So the quote in The Living and the Science of Mind for Ernest Holmes is, "The discovery of the self is to the self and by the self." Think of that. The discovery of the self, capital S, is to the self and by the self. There is no use delaying, no use waiting for someone to come along or someone who can do this for us. For no person exists. That's the point of religious science and science of mind. We are responsible. We get to do what we do. We get to go into meditation. We get to go into prayer. If something's going on, we center ourselves. No such person exists. That's why Jesus told his disciples he had to leave, so they could see the works within themselves, because they were following him, and he was trying to teach them greater things you can do than what I'm doing. He said it over and over again. And that's what religious science is. That's why people come in to hear the word and go out to practice the word. So Holmes also said, starting right where we are and disregarding time or effort, counting as gain only that which conspires to awaken us to the ultimate reality, we shall travel back to the center and to the source. Letting go of everything else, only that which conspires to awaken us. We go back to first cause. That is the universal voice. That's the energetic of the voice. Forever singing the song, God is, I am, we are. Holmes, in his radios, he did a radio show back in the days. You could hear his booming voice. He always started this show with, there is a power for good in the universe, greater than we are, and we can use it. He always said it. Greater than we are, and we can use it. Because, why is that? Because we're part of that whole. We are that. We are that walking human incarnation of what God is. So how do we use this power for good? We practice this living out loud, which is being genuine, which is being authentic. If there's a tear, there's a tear. If there's a anger, there's an anger. If there's a joy, there's a joy. Nothing gets put in the shadow. Nothing. Everything is part of us. And we can be curious to what it is. Instead of us telling the feeling what it is, we can go, I think I know, but why don't you tell me? Why don't you explain to me why I have this feeling in my gut? And you'll be surprised, because your body does have its language, and it will speak to you. So we have to be ourselves in this world. You know, you might as well be yourself, because, as they say, everyone else is taken, right? So we recognize our buttons, and we watch them disappear into the nothingness from where they came. The more we get rid of the BS, the belief systems, the more we stand in what we truly are. So we keep dipping our finger of our attention into the river of our experience. Lean into that universal voice of the I am experience. That's what we do now. So I have a New Year's prayer from Joyce Rupp, and I left it on everybody's chair. And if the Zoomies want to, they can take a picture of it on the screen here. It's called, from her book Out of the Ordinary, it's called Faithful Companion. In this new year, I pray to live deeply with purpose, to live freely with detachment, to live wisely with humility, to live justly with compassion, to live lovingly with fidelity, to live mindfully with awareness, to live gratefully with generosity, to live fully with enthusiasm. Help me to hold this vision and to daily renew it in my heart, becoming ever more one with you, my truest self. And with that, I'd like to do a healing prayer. So if we can just take a breath and close our eyes. And recognizing God is, I am, we are. So we recognize this power and this present in this life, this eternality of this life that I call God, that I call spirit, I call joy, I call wisdom, I call divine intelligence. I know that it is all here, wholeness, perfect ideas. It is all this in the mind of God. And I know that I live and move and have my being in this mind. And as I know this for myself, I know this for each and every individual here and beyond. Everyone on Zoom, everyone present, everyone in the atmospheric idea and ideation of love. I know right here and right now that all is well. And so I speak a word right here and right now, knowing that whatever is on the hearts of anyone, all is well in the midst of it. Everything dissipates into the nothingness for where it came. And I know right here and right now that the power and the presence that moves us, that is that first cause, that is that love and is that law, I know it operates within each and every person. And it is this operation that moves us forward into this idea of living out loud. So I know that we are rooted in the idea of God being it. It is this divine presence right here, this divine love, this divine wisdom. And we anchor ourselves into this love and this light and this law that is this life itself. And I call it good, I call it very good. And I call forth anything that needs to be healed and revealed and felt, all in one, as we surrender to that idea of God is, I am, we are. And I release my word into this law of mind, knowing that even before this word was spoken, it was already done. And I say, and so it is, and so I let it be. Amen. And I'm going to call